say that might be interesting, huh? Let's see. We need sound.
People hostage or engage in ransom taking to get 100% of your way.
They're trying to hold veterans hostage to force Obamacare on the American people.
You cannot negotiate with a hostage situation.
We've got a group of folks who think that they can hold America hostage.
The president somehow wants to keep this hostage.
They've taken hostages.
No president should be held hostage.
Holding our government hostage.
Holding the U.S. hostage?
Hold the entire country hostage.
Hold them hostage.
How are
Don't
you?
hold
Good to see
anyone
you.
hostage. They took hostages.
Well, of course.
Hostage taking.
Thanks for having
Stop
us welcome
taking
us to your
hostages.
turf.
They had to take the country hostage.
Whether or not it's correct to kind of use the hostage terms by politicians, when you see this, as somebody who's negotiated a lot, when you see what's going on in Washington, what jumps out to you?
Well, there's two things about that. You know, on a personal note, I like that they use the word because then it gives me a chance to be on your show. And
I get it. You know what? I haven't been able to focus on anything. His company is called the Black Swan Group. That is the baddest ass name I have ever heard. I love that. Now, what is the Black Swan Group? That's like the coolest. What is that?
Thank you very much. A black swan is something unusual that has a great impact, and we like to think that the way we negotiate has a great impact.
See? Paramilitary
Cool, right? I like it.
All right. How often do you get a chance to make Anderson Cooper laugh, right? All right, but there's actually a negotiation lesson in there, which I'll get to in a minute. But I can remember I was sitting there, and they've got you in a room that's kind of a dark closet, and the light shines in your eyes, and you wait to come on. And I'm hearing like, hostage this, hostage that, Barack Obama, hostage, taking the country hostage. And I'm thinking, I don't know. This seems like a straight line. I just can't let this go. One of the things that we talk about in negotiation and how you will get better as a negotiator, never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't take something better. All right, so fine, yeah, what does that mean? And on top of that, how do I make that happen? Interestingly enough, the insider's negotiation tip there, which 2/3 of us are not that good with. I don't tell that joke. Jeffrey Tobin doesn't give me the best commercial that my company ever got. His company is a Black Swan Group. That is the baddest ass name I ever heard. Imagine if they were in preparation and they're talking about going on camera and Tobin says, Black Swan, that sounds kind of cool. I'm going to say it's a badass name. Anderson Cooper, everybody else there says, no, that's stupid, don't do that. The producer gets in his ear and says, don't do that, that's a dumb idea. But getting people to do stuff spontaneously in a negotiation, how do you do that? Well, the brain works up to 31% better in a positive frame of mind. 31%. That's no small jump. You make yourself 31% smarter just being in a positive frame of mind. You're 31% more likely to come up with a better answer in a positive frame of mind. We have things in our head called mirror neurons. If I smile at somebody in the front, it hits your mirror neurons. You smile back involuntarily. What's that happen? I've just triggered a chemical change in your brain, started to pick up your mental processes with that smile. I tell a joke, Jeffrey Tobin's brain picks up a little bit more, he's in a better mood. In a negotiation, he's willing to give me one of the best commercials I ever got on national TV for free. How much did I pay him for that? Never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't take something better. How do you make these things happen? I'm going to give you a couple of ideas, tiny little things, 2mm shifts. We're going to have Tony Robbins here later this afternoon. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. He talks about the 2mm shifts that make all the difference in the world. I'm going to give you some of those 2mm shifts. So, I was the FBI's lead international kidnapping negotiator. I handled the kidnapping negotiation strategy of every American kidnapped overseas. You might ask yourself, how often is Chris Voss busy when he's doing that? Well, it's a big world, and there are a lot of Americans doing stupid things in crazy places. Some of you in this room managed to get away with some of that. So before the earthquake in Haiti, we've got just kidnapping is out of control. But it's dual nationals. They don't know they're grabbing Americans, which comes to be the case in many cases of Americans being kidnapped overseas. Bad guys think they got a local, happens to be a dual national. One of the great things about the United States of America, Do you know how many countries in the world that you're a citizen of that country if you're born in that country? Like, I grew up thinking that was just natural and normal. Yeah, I was born here. Of course I'm a citizen. It must be that way everywhere. One other developed nation, Canada. Not one country in Europe. Not Australia. You think you're born in Australia, you're an American citizen there, or Australian citizen, they'll laugh at you. It's a birthright that we take for granted. It's one of the great things about this country. The country's not perfect, a lot of good things about it. What does that have to do with this story? Haitian moms know that the very best gift they could potentially give their child on their child's first actual birthday is a gift of American citizenship. One way or another, Haitian moms, by hook or by crook, find themselves on American soil so the child can be born American citizenship and all the things that that immediately brings with it. So the kidnapping business model in Haiti at the time, this is before the earthquake, and kidnapping is a business. It's a commodities business. To us, it's horrible. To them, it's another day at the office. Understand the business that your counterpart's in, how they see it. How you see it doesn't matter. Wish it did, doesn't. It's a business in Haiti. Business model is, it's a great business model. Carjack a car with more than one person in it. Keep a car and a person. Let the other person go. They're going to let them know. They were in a car with them. They probably know who their family is. You can tell them they got kidnapped. If they got enough money for a car and gas money, they probably got enough money for a ransom. You got a car in Haiti at the time, you probably got some money. It's a great target for a kidnapping. What happens if, you know, the person you grabbed was one person in a family nobody likes? You still got a car. It's a great business model. So and if there's a kid in there, even better. Family's more likely to pay. 12-year-old boy gets grabbed in a carjacking in Haiti. Father is not an American citizen, but he knows his son is, and he's told that the FBI is going to help him. Now, I don't know what went through his mind when he was told that the FBI was going to help him, but I could imagine that probably he figured maybe about 15 minutes later, he's going to hear on the front door, and Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones will be standing there. You know, maybe they might have FBI hats on, who knows? Instead, 15 minutes later, he gets a call from some guy in Washington, D.C., says his name is Chris Voss and he's going to help him. He literally says to me on the phone, "You're in Washington, D.C., how you going to help me?" How long have I got before he hangs up? Seriously, what do you say? What do you say to this guy? How do you lay this out? How long before he hangs up? Maybe 10. Everybody you deal with, maybe less intensely, when they interact with you, says to themselves, how are you going to help me? They don't, with less intensity, but it's the same question, everybody that you interact with. It's not an unfair question to ask. How are you going to help me? Now, I've done this wrong before. How do I know what to say? Because I did it wrong before. I remember the first time I was in the Philippines on a kidnapping, which I'm going to tell you about in a couple minutes. I showed up, the FBI's expert, which pretty much at the time made me the expert for the United States government. And I'm walking to a room that in the Philippines, everybody below the president, everybody but the president of the Philippines is in the room. Secretary of Defense, president's personal advisor, all the cabinet members. Who are you? You know, why should we rely on you? And I make the mistake of trotting out my resume. FBI, this many years, not only trained at Quantico, but I teach at Quantico now. I wrote the book at Quantico. Lay out my resume, my experience. They might as well have yawned in my face because they'd never seen me before. So I've made this mistake before. And you guys know a resume correlates loosely with whether or not you know how to do a job. If your resume showed for sure that you could do a job, you'd never lose one. There'd never be a bad hire. There'd never be an employee that didn't work out. Correlates loosely with whether or not you know how to do the job. So what do I say to this father in Haiti? I got maybe somewhere between 3 and 10 seconds before the line goes dead. This is what I said. All right, so Haitian kidnappers are not killing kidnap victims these days. I realize that's really stupid because they kill each other at the drop of a hat, but for whatever reason, they're not killing kidnap victims. Now, today is Thursday, and Haitian kidnappers love to party on Saturday night. If you say the things I want you to say and you do the things that I ask you to do, we'll have your son out by late Friday, early Saturday morning. He said, tell me what you want me to do. And we had his son out Saturday morning. Did I lay my resume out? Did I lay a strategy out? Did I begin to provide value? What's your value proposition? What I did was I showed him in less than 10 seconds that I saw what he was looking at. And I offered the slightest amount of insight into the dynamic. And anybody that you deal with, the first question they ask themselves is, do you see what I see? I didn't say, I understand, to try to shortcut the process. It doesn't take that much longer. It's a delay to save time. 10 seconds, 15 tops. Telling him in no uncertain terms, there's no doubt in his mind that I see what he sees. And I have the slightest, and if I see what he sees, the chances are that I got answers to it are very high. He never asked me how many kidnappings I worked. He never asked me how many kidnappings in Haiti I worked. The qualifier questions, how long you've been in this industry, what's your resume, how many times you've done this before. He didn't ask me how many kidnappings I'd worked in Haiti. He never asked me how many times I've been to Haiti. You know how many times I've been to Haiti? Never been to Haiti. He didn't ask me what languages I speak. Do you speak French? Do you speak Creole? You may ask yourself, Chris Voss, and I was the international negotiation coach, really. I coached negotiations all over the world. How many languages does Chris Voss speak? By now you realize the answer to that is almost one. Ain't a lot of languages in there. I'm happy with complete sentences. And don't hold me to the pronunciations. But I understand negotiations. I understand my negotiation skills. Here's the bad news for you. What's the bad news? It only works where people are involved. It won't work any other time. Because I get asked all the time, does it work in real estate? Does it work in media to media negotiations? What stuff doesn't work? It doesn't work in. It doesn't work where people aren't involved. So I'm going to talk to you get you out of a couple of bad habits real quick. What's hurting you the most in your negotiations? You're addicted to yes. I mean, you got a bad addiction to yes. You didn't know it was that kind of a meeting, right? Hi, I'm addicted to yes. Hi, Chris. Here's the problem with yes. We're all taught it's a goal. It's a goal at the end of the rainbow, where we want to go. Do you want to be a better negotiator? Would you like to make more money? Would you like to have more free time? Bigger house? Buy my book. Boom. Yes is always a trap. It's always a trap. I don't know if this ever was a good idea. Maybe there was a point in time that it was a good idea to get people into yes mode or mere agreement. The theory that if I get you saying yes to the little yeses, the chances are that you're going to say yes to the big yeses much higher. There's actually a study out there that says that works. If you hear there's a study that says something worked, take a hard look at the study, see if you agree with how it's done. But even better still, ask yourself, if you pick up the phone, 6 o'clock at night, I don't care what time it is, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and a person on the other end of the line says, would you like to make more money? Do you go, thank God you called? I've been waiting all day long for somebody to ask me that question. Somebody calls you on the phone and says, have you got a few minutes to talk? Well, nobody immediately says, yes. Any question, there are three kinds of yeses: commitment, confirmation, and counterfeit. People have gotten us, try to walk us in to commitment yes so much with confirmation yes, that the vast majority of us are good with counterfeit yes. That's all you ever hear, counterfeit yes. Nobody in my company or that I've trained ever calls people on the phone and says, have you got a few minutes to talk? Nobody. What does that do to you when somebody asks you that? It's at least 4 questions in one. If I have a few minutes, do I want to talk to you? If I have a few minutes, I don't want to talk to you, do I want to talk about what you want to talk about? How long is a few minutes? How do I get off the phone? The problem is, while all these questions are running through your mind, you're actually not listening to the other person. It's equivalent to talking to someone who has another person whispering in their ear. Watch out, it's coming, you know, there's a hook. How long is this going to be? They're taking you somewhere. Be careful, be careful. That person is whispering in there all the time. So the very first thing you could do is get out of that. And believe me, that's going to be one of the hardest things you have to overcome. It's not complicated. It's really difficult to break that habit. I hope I'm getting you to the point where you're worried about that. So you might be asking yourself, all right, so now what am I supposed to do? Well, anybody recognize this guy? Jack Welch. Came through Los Angeles about 2.5 years ago with his wife Susie, the real life MBA. I'm at a book signing. I want to ask Jack Welch to come and be a guest speaker at the negotiation class I teach at USC Marshall School of Business in the MBA program. How many people in that book signing are going to ask Jack Welch to say yes to something? Easily 200 people come through the book signing. Jack, want to come over to the house? Jack, come, will you be godfather to my child? How many yeses are going to try to get out of him in the book that day, that week? How many people are trying to get Jack Welch to say yes? On top of everything else, this is a book signing with 200 or 300 people walking through. How long do I have with Jack Welch? They ask you your name, write on a piece of paper. Jack looks up, Chris, have a nice day, keep going. They don't want me there for logistics reasons. They don't want me bothering him. On top of that, Jack Welch is a celebrity. He's a legitimate celebrity. He's got a security detail. I'm going to be within arm's length of Jack Welch. What am I going to do to him? You know, I could kiss him. They don't know what I'm going to do, right? I have less time with Jack Welch than I had with the Haitian father. So I walk, knowing this, hostage negotiator, I know how the brain works emotionally. I walk up to Jack Welch and I say, is it a ridiculous idea for you to come and speak at the negotiation course I teach at USC? And he looks up and to the left and his face just freezes. He just gets this really intense look on his face. And I think to myself, I just killed Jack Welch. I mean, I got scared. First, I figured he's going to fall. He had a stroke. He's going to fall over. The security's going to tackle me. They're going to drag me out in handcuffs. I'm going to say, but I'm an FBI agent. We don't care. He just killed Jack Welch. So initially, when he doesn't die, I'm relieved. But now I figure he's going to start, he's still staring at me. Security, security. He doesn't do that either. He looks back at me and he says, this is my personal assistant's name. This is a Twitter account that we have set up for her. I will call her and tell her who you are, what you're going to be reaching out to her about. I think we're going to be in Los Angeles in the fall. If we are, we'll come in and speak to your class. What did I get him to say? Instead of trying to get it, you'll be shocked at what people are willing to say no to. As insane as it is, all the problems of trying to get somebody to say yes, the complete opposite happens when they say no. People feel protected. They feel safe. Their brain clears up. You'd be shocked at what people are willing to say no to. I coach some of my students and some of my clients that are in job negotiations to say to their bosses, do you want me to fail? You'd be shocked, shocked, shocked at what people will comfortably say no to. We do it all the time. When you get home, Google Ronald Reagan, are you better off? Ronald Reagan, presidential, first time he was elected president when he beat Jimmy Carter. The last presidential debate, he stood up in front of the American public and said, next Tuesday you go to the voting booth. Next Tuesday you have a decision to make. Which, by the way, is exactly what I did when I was laying things out to the Haitian kidnappers. This is what you see. This is what you're going to look at. This is what you're faced with. Reagan is smart enough to just lay this out. He knows he's getting your attention by telling you what you're going to look at. He says, I just ask you this question. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Have you got more spending power than you had 4 years ago? Is America in better shape than it was 4 years ago? Succession of no questions. No, 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 no. Says if the answer to any of these questions are yes, then your choice is clear. But if it's no, well, I'd ask you to vote for me. No, 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 no. Make a deal. You got elected. Give you one other subtle insight. What if no's not enough? What do you do next? Here's what you really want people to say. This is the game changer. It doesn't seem wonderful. You see, that's right, and you don't feel the heavens part and the birds chirp and the choirs sing. But when other people say that's right, you'll be stunned at the transformation that they go through. The last presidential election, whether you were Republican or Democrat, when you watched the presidential debates and either candidate that you supported said something that you believed in, you said, that's right. That's what you say when the other person has said something that you completely buy into. There's an actual chemical change that happens. It's a combination of an establishment of empathy and epiphany simultaneously. And suddenly you feel yourself so much more connected to the person that got you to say that's right. Now, I need to point out very clearly that this is not your right. Your right is the worst form of false agreement that there is. It's probably cost people and companies more money across the board and caused people to accuse each other of being liars. When one of your colleagues at your job, when anybody in your life is after you about something and they won't let up and you want to maintain the relationship, but you just want them to shut up, what do you say to them? You look them in the eye and go, you're right. They go, yay! And they go away. And they come back the next day and they go, well, wait a minute, we talked yesterday, I laid out my case, I told you everything that I was talking about. And you look at them again and you're like, you're right. And they go, okay, and they leave again. Nobody would ever do that to you, would they? So the 2mm shift from getting the other person to say, you're right, to that's right. Does it work on sociopaths? Does it work in kidnappings? This American got grabbed overseas. He's being held by our friend up here on the right-hand side, and this is a bad-to-the-bone, sociopathic, rape and murder and killer named Sabaya. Sabaya is as bad as they come. It's no coincidence that he's got on sunglasses, a black bandana, a black T-shirt. He always dressed up like this because terrorists like the media. That's why you're in the terrorism business. You want attention. It's a cry for help. He always made sure he got himself photographed like this. American has wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time, is being held, and there's a $10 million demand for his release. This is a guy I'm coaching. A great human being. One of the few people on the planet I would literally trust with the life of my son. And in the Philippines, this is no small amount of trust. He actually recently, at the time he was a colonel, he recently retired from the Philippines. He was the #3 general in the Philippine National Police, a legitimate hero. And a bad-to-the-bone himself guy, because he was the leader of their Special Action Force, which was Philippine National Police version of the Navy SEALs. When I met this man, he had personally led 30 rescue operations for kidnapping victims that year. It was only August. Give you an idea how often they're out the door. And he and his guys didn't take handcuffs. So that means 30 firefights. We get into the midst of the negotiation with our terrorists, stalemated for 4 months. And I tell my guy, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to get a that's right out of the other side. That's right out of a sociopath. That's right out of a killer. Because they're not coming down by 1 penny on the $10 million ransom. So we coach them up, we get the terrorist on the phone, and my guy repeats chapter and verse all the other side's nonsense. You're not asking for ransom, you're asking for war damages. You're asking for $10 million of economic harm that's happened in the Philippines for the last 500 years. From the Spanish to the Japanese to the Americans to the atrocities under Blackjack Pershing. Now, I realize that this doesn't apply to you because you would never be in a discussion with somebody where they brought up stuff that had nothing to do with the situation, would you? Nobody would ever bring up something that happened in the past and it had been resolved for years and then bring it back up again. That never happens to you. So we summarized all the nonsense that this terrorist had been spouting, this sociopath had been spouting. When my guy got done, there was a moment of silence, and the terrorist said, "That's right." Another moment of silence, and my guy said, "Let's talk again in a couple of days." We went from $10 million to zero in that moment. It went away. They never brought up money again. A couple of months later, the American walks away. We fly him out of the Philippines. The terrorist got nothing, zero. I'm back in the Philippines 3 weeks later on another case. I connect up with my guy. He says, "You're not going to believe who called me on the phone." I don't know. Who called you on the phone? Our terrorist. Still knew him by his undercover name, had the undercover number. Calls him on the phone and literally says, "Have you been promoted yet?" I don't know what you said to me on the phone, but whatever it was, I was going to kill the American. You stopped me from doing it. You're really good. They should promote you. Hangs up the phone. What's he saying? He's saying, "I deal with you again." The end of a negotiation where he got nothing. He called his counterpart up on the phone to pay his respects. Everybody that you deal with, regardless of how much they get out of it, should be willing to say to you after the negotiation, "Yeah, I'd talk to you again. I feel respected by you." That's the way you should leave everybody. That's what builds a long-term career. That's what builds success in your negotiations. And that approach, a tactical approach of empathy and getting that right out of people, give you the opportunity, because we made mistakes. People used to say to me, "You know, what's it like when the slightest mistake and somebody get killed?" I said, "It wasn't a slight, I'm gonna make mistakes." I took an approach overall that gave me latitude, because I knew occasionally I would make mistakes. I'd do my preparation, I'd get into a negotiation, and I'd say something wrong. But take an approach based on this genuinely trying to understand the other side for sociopathic reasons, not for missionary reasons, but for mercenary reasons, because of how much latitude it gives you in the negotiation. Understand you're not going to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. So in closing, allow me to leave you with this. Problems, how to overcome problems, even no matter, regardless of your preparation.
Proof of life video, that's what they're called. The ultimate good news, bad news story if you're ever unfortunate enough to see one. Today's high-stakes rescue mission in Colombia ended a drama that has been dragging on for years. Chris Voss is the former FBI lead international kidnapping negotiator, and he worked on the...
So in terms of preparation, what have I done wrong here? My hair's sticking out. Now, this is the first time I was on CNN, Anderson Cooper. Like, I'm enthusiastic about being here. I mean, I think this is cool. I'm a small-town boy from Iowa, son of Richard and Joyce Voss, times 7,000 people. Anderson Cooper? Yeah, 8 million people going to watch this. You go in there, you go through makeup. Then they put you in a room that's a big, dark closet. Light shines right in your eyes. They say, look right below the light. Down to the left is a monitor. They say, do you want it? It's going to go live when we go live. Do you want it off or on? I go, I leave that baby on. I've never seen me on TV before. I want to see me on TV. So we have just gone live, and I'm looking down, and as you can see, I'm looking down at the monitor, and I've realized my hair's sticking out. The additional problem is the monitor's a mirror image. So I don't know which side of my head the hair's sticking out. This is my first issue. I'm a negotiator. I got to figure stuff out. I got to work out options. I have to identify which side of my head the hair is.
This case from the beginning until his retirement just last year. He joins me now. Chris, this has got to be...
I don't know why I thought moving my head around was going to make my hair like shake or something and I'd be able to tell. But you can see from the look on my face, I'm like, nah, it didn't work. I still don't know where it is. So now I got to decide what to do. How much time do I got? My mom's probably watching this back in Iowa. All his friends from her Bible study class are watching this. You know, you can't teach your son how to comb his hair. So I'm sitting there trying to decide, you know, and how can I handle it? You know, and I realized, what can't I do? I can't lick my hand and do that. So I'm sitting there trying to decide.
It's a remarkable day for you to be so...
Why do they got to make me look worse? I know the producer's going like, Anderson's hair is perfect. Let's go side by side so everybody can see. In case anybody doesn't know, Anderson Cooper, Mr. Perfect Hair on the Planet. Let's make him look bad. It's like being the fat guy in the before and after, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to decide what to do. When can I make my move? How many moves can I make? What can I do? You know, work up the courage.
Closely involved in this, and finally... come to fruition.
I'm kind of disgusted right now. But I went on to finish the interview, and they did ask me back. So what I'm here to tell you is you'll make mistakes. And they won't be the end of everything. Let yourself make mistakes. It's going to be okay. Have a good, steady process where you treat people with respect and appreciation. Use empathy in a positive way, not because you're a nice guy, you are, but because it works. Got a free newsletter, text to sign up. FBI empathy, all one word, don't let it spell check it. Take it out of it. So, in closing, and this is only if you want, it's for free, only if you want. Don't be bothered with it if you don't want it. Remember I mentioned Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones at the beginning? Men in Black? Well, they actually worked for me. I'd like everybody to stand up, please. Stand up. Everybody stand up. Remember the little red flashy thing? All right, got one right here. Everybody look up here. Watch very closely. All right. After today, you'll take an approach with people where it's not a problem to treat them with respect. You're going to make people feel good about dealing with you so that no matter what the outcome is, they'll let you know that after they've dealt with you, they're willing to continue to deal with you on other projects because they felt respected, they felt appreciation, and they felt some kind of way, they don't know what it was, but they felt like a bond with you. So move through the rest of your careers with that, and you'll be very happy at where it takes you. Thank you for spending time with me today. I completely enjoyed being here.